to rock and roll? Yes, I am. By now, I even know this teaching pretty well. So, yeah, I'm excited to get in and talk a little bit, jumping off of our film clip there from Doug Heffernan about things that I really believe God's got us to a point where He wants to teach us new things, or is calling on us to learn some stuff and get our foundation underneath of us because He's got some pretty exciting stuff ahead of us that we need to get ready for. So, we're going to be talking about that today. If I haven't got a chance to meet you, my name's Toby. I'm the pastor here, along with my buddy Brent back there and a few other of us on staff. And welcome. Thanks for being with us. We don't always have live teaching here. Sometimes we use some of the best video teachers, the best guys on video that you can find, from Andy Stanley to Craig Groeschel. But it's my privilege to be able to teach today. And we're in a series called The Calling, and this is part 4. This is our last week. We're going to kind of put the cap on the whole thing and bring it all together. And I'm excited about getting this going on that. But before we do, I just want to go back just really quickly and hit some of the points from the last few weeks that leads up to today. And we have been doing this study, and I've learned a lot of good stuff as well. That's one of the things I love about teaching, is as I dig in, I get to learn stuff right along with you. And so the first week that we looked at is the privilege and the honor of realizing that God has called each and every one of us. He doesn't make anybody that He doesn't have a purpose for, or a mission, or really a cool journey for us to be on, where we can really do some pretty amazing work for Him if we'll allow Him to work through us. And so that's a real privilege and honor. We want to realize that each and every one of us are called. However, we still have the choice, the free will, whether we want to respond to that call or not. And my hope and prayer is that if we've seen this and realizing what a privilege it is, that'll kind of whet our appetite a little bit. If we don't know what our gifts are, where God wants us, that we'll want to dig into that. It's the most fulfilling life we could ever hope to have. So all of us are called. The question is, will we respond or not? My prayer is that we will. That was kind of the first week. Second week, we talked about that if God has called us and given us this work to do, then He's going to give us the tools and the equipment to do it. And He does that through a relationship with His Spirit. Now that may, if you're fairly new to church or this idea of God or religion or whatever, the idea that there's a Spirit, and that's very much what the Bible shows us, and the foundation of what we stand on, that when we develop this relationship with God and come to a point where we surrender our life to Him or give our life to Him, and we invite Him into our life through belief and through our repentance of the old way we lived and baptism, then we receive His Spirit in our life. And with that, the Bible tells us that He, the Spirit, distributes gifts to us. Now, what we mean by gifts are, as we're going to talk about in our second Sunday class here in another hour and a half or so, gifts are your strengths, your capabilities, your passions, kind of the way that you're made. And God, the Spirit will kind of give you those so that you can turn around and use them for some really good work for Him. So each and every one of us who have that relationship with the Spirit, we have these gifts whether we realize it or not. And our goal is to discover what they are, to develop them, and also to dedicate them back to the work of the body, of the work of the church. And so that was the next, moves us into the third week that we talked about, as we get the opportunity through God's grace to be reconciled with Him, to be saved, to have salvation through Christ. All that love that God gives to us, He freely gives it to us, but then He clearly gives us a directive that He wants us to take that love and reach out to other people and help them to be reconciled. So we called that the requirement. We get all the grace and we get all the salvation. We do nothing to earn it. And yet God has an expectation that we will take that out and love other people and reach out to them. So that's kind of where we've been. The first week was the response. We called that teaching the response. Then we had the revelation of the gifts. Last week was a requirement. And today, we're calling this teaching the reason. The whole reason that we're called. And we're going to get into a little inside baseball today. I've never done a teaching like this ever at Vision. And most teachings that we do, we're digging into the Bible and learning some biblical principle that we can apply to our life. And the same is true for today. However, this is clearly a teaching about God's specific purpose and direction for Vision Church, and how that affects you, no matter if you're already involved here or if you're just kind of looking at this church to see Do I want to get involved here? It's good for all of us to see this, but this is really kind of a different sort of a teaching. Got a lot of good stuff in here. Excited to share it. But it's just a little heads up. It's a little bit different for us. So what I've come to realize, and in order to do this, I'll have to tell just a little bit of the history of how Vision Church started. I won't go into the whole thing. If you're curious about how Vision Church came about, you can pick up one of our welcome packs. It's all written in there, and it is riveting. I mean, it'll keep you on the edge of your seat. I'm pretty sure they're going to make a movie about it someday, and I just can't figure out who I want to play me yet. You know, I was thinking maybe Bruce Willis, but then I went, no, The Rock. That's who I want. The Rock. That's why he's going to play me. So I found the right guy for that. But anyway, you can read the whole story. All I want to do is let you know that Vision is about 2 years old. We're not quite 2 years old. So in church life, that makes us just a toddler still in diapers. I'll let you picture that for a minute. We're barely potty trained as a church. You know, we're fairly new, almost 2 years old. And along with that, God has really blessed us. We started almost 2 years ago. It was the first weekend of April 2011 when we were able to go over to the Road Church. We're so thankful for Sam Wright, who let us come in there on Saturday nights. A lot of you guys were there with us. And we started back then with about 180 people all showed up for that first service, which was very encouraging. What we have seen is that God has since then more than doubled who comes to Vision Church. And we really appreciate that and how He's allowed us to grow and just kept us right along. And a lot of good things happened. Teams formed, a lot of good things in place. But what we've come to realize is that we're at a place, and I've been feeling these promptings and kind of hinting to you for the last few months, that God's got the next phase, or He's got the something else, and He's got the next level that He wants us to go to, which I really feel and believe that He's bringing us there. But before He does, I think He wants us to get ready. He wants us to get some things in place. Not that He's disciplining us. He's just going, I got stuff for you, for your church body, but before I send more people to you, I need you to get ready for them. And so I really feel that's where we are right now. And the stuff that we're talking about today has been months of working this out, trying to clarify exactly what our purpose and what our mission is. I remember a fairly specific day, just before the end of the year. I was out praying, and it was one of those kind of cloudy days, and the sun was streaking through I could almost feel God's presence coming through the clouds, and I'm pretty sure I heard His voice that day, and the Lord spoke to me that day, and He said, "Thou shalt not continue leading by the seat of thy pants." I think that's what He said. It might have been thunder. My stomach might have been rumbling. I don't know. But however He said it, that's the message that I've been getting from God. And I don't mean that as a slam. What I mean is that the way that we started with some great momentum from God, and some of us from certain experiences, and me personally as kind of coming from a sidekick pastor, an associate pastor from other churches, I haven't really been in this position before as kind of a lead pastor, and so it's gone well for the first couple of years, and I appreciate that. But I also realize that God very much is prompting us to go, you know, you need to strengthen your foundation, you need to build your structure and your framework so that you will be able to, that I will be able to send you thousands of people, not hundreds, not just hundreds, and hundreds are great. But hey, we're here to reach as many people as we possibly can. So I love it that God's been impressing that upon us. I love where He's brought us, because today, kind of a milestone that we're going to unveil what I believe is a very solid structure and framework that He has given us. And we're going to go through that. Before you leave today, you'll know what it is. You'll be very clear. You probably would even be able to tell it to somebody else, and that's exactly what we're hoping for. That's what we need. In order for us to keep on growing, if you're kind of filling in the blanks there in your teaching notes, in order for us to keep on growing, we need a very clear purpose that we all understand. If the staff understands the purpose, or a couple of core families understand the purpose, that's great, but that doesn't help us unless we all understand it, so we're all shooting at the same target. And so I'm so happy that we have this, and we can communicate it. And not only that, for the church purpose, but we get to see ourselves. You have gifts. We've talked about that. God has given you strengths and capabilities. You should be able to see within this, how do you work your gift together to help this body be complete and be effective. So two things. What's our purpose? And how do you fit in, basically, is what we'll get to see today. So that's going to be good stuff. So we talked about, a couple weeks ago, how the church, and this is the way God describes it through the Apostle Paul mostly in the Bible, that the church, Vision Church, is actually like a human body. It's like a body that's put together. And Paul even talks about, uses an analogy of body parts. He goes, well, you might be an eye, you might be a foot, you might be an elbow, you might be an ear, and so we can kind of relate that. And what are our strengths and our personalities and our capabilities and our passions? We all come here with different parts. But the whole idea is that you don't keep your passion and your strength and your capability back. Instead, you bring it so that your strength is there to help me in my weaknesses and vice versa. My strengths can help you in your weaknesses. We come together, and so as a sum of the parts is greater than the whole. And I never say that right, so you know what I mean. The whole is greater than the sum. Dang it. You know what I'm talking about anyway, that when we come together, it's much more powerful than if we just, have our gift on our own. So that's the whole idea, and we see that in Scripture. In 1 Corinthians, where we've been looking recently, here's one of the coolest couple of verses here. It says, "But in fact, God has placed the parts in the body, every one of them, just as He wanted them to be. If they were all one part, where would the body be? We'd be one big foot, one big toenail or something. As it is, there are many parts, but one body." And I really wanted to highlight this part right here because this is especially cool. Here's Vision Church. Here's you. I know a lot of your names. Some of your names I don't know. Some of you I just met today. Some of you have never met. But we are here together because God has us just the way He wants us to be. The parts are here. The strength is here. All the pieces and parts are here. God's put it together. The only variable is we get to choose whether we contribute our strength, our capability to the body or not. And so my hope and prayer is we'll see what a privilege and honor that is and begin to see what God can do when we really take this 1 Corinthians thing seriously and bring these gifts together, where God is going to continue to take us, because He's already helped us so much here at Vision Church. So we have to, be willing to bring the body parts together. We talked about a couple weeks ago, and I used an illustration where, well, this guy designed a guitar. This little girl grew up in Oklahoma. That person started the CMA organization. We brought it all together and saw how those parts came together and made something beautiful. Now, if I have to bring that video back out again, I will. But last time we cried when we watched it, so I don't want to do it. It was embarrassing. But if I have to, I will. But we brought all those parts together so it made a powerful, beautiful thing, and that's exactly what God wants to do here. So let's talk about the body that we are, because there's all different kinds of bodies. Okay, let's go with sports. If you're a weightlifter, then you build the legs up big and strong so you can, lift the weights, and or if you're a gymnast, you build the upper body big and strong so you can get on the parallel bars or on the rings, and so different bodies are made for different things. There's a basketball player, his name is Earl Boykins, who is very strong. He played back in 2003 to 2007, played for the Denver Nuggets, and he could bench press over 315 pounds. Now, that's almost as much as, well, I was never even ever close to that, but the 315 pounds he can bench, and at one time he scored over 30 points against the Detroit Pistons in a game. An NBA player that scores over 30 points in a game puts him in a very elite class. So he was a very strong player for his career. The thing that we don't know about Earl Boykins, though, is that he's 5'5". And this is a real picture. When I first saw this, I went, that's not real. It is real. There he is guarding Shaq, and you can tell Shaq looks very intimidated there. But this is true. But the truth is they're both amazing athletes that have completely different body types. Earl Boykins sits back and he hits the three-pointers, right? But when he goes underneath the boards, well, that's not going to be his strength up there against Shaq. However, Shaq can get under the boards, man, and get the rebounds. But if he's in a clinch and you need that last free throw, you know, you never know what you're going to get because that's his body type. Well, who are we? Are we Earl? Are we Shaq? As far as that analogy goes, I don't know. But however, what I do know is both of these guys are amazing athletes, completely different body types. So what we want to do, kind of as leadership, as pastors, as shepherds, as people that we talk to, is look at our body, our church body, and go, who are we? Are we 7'1", or are we 5'5"? Can we bench press 300? Who are we? What kind of body are we? And the nice thing about it is this church is so relational, and at least the way that we interact with each other, I really believe we've kind of put our hand on the pulse here to feel who we are, what our strengths are, what our capabilities are. That's helped us define what our purpose is. And so based on what our strengths are, and I really think we have this lined up pretty good. Here's something also that's been coming to the surface more and more as far as trying to discover who we are. Through some recent teachings, through some things that we've experienced together, there's a passion here at Vision. Certainly it's among the leadership. I believe it's among a lot of people that I've met through our V groups and stuff. And it kind of fits in with this teaching, the calling that we're doing right now. It goes back to the teaching that we did in the beginning of the year, the gift. And we talked about a lot of good stuff, that first generation church and how giving they were. And we did some illustrations with some expensive perfume and some $20 bills. And that was really an eye-opener for me, and then talked to a lot of you guys. Sort of a stirring and a passion. And then we got into this Francis Chan crazy love stuff that makes a lot of people uncomfortable, but we're digging in and learning how to have a deeper, more loving relationship with God. And this is a little bit different experience than I've been in some of the other places that I've been to, where I'm excited going, you know, what if a church could actually focus on that first century, that Acts chapter 2, 3, and 4 church, where they all were coming together and they were breaking bread and they were extremely generous, and if somebody had a need, somebody else would sell something and give it to them, and they loved God so much and loved each other so much, and they had this amazing sense of purpose that they were going to go out and reach their world to help them see this new covenant, this new truth. And see, then I get all excited thinking, oh, what could a church in 2013, could we really focus on that and move toward that? And I've talked to a lot of you guys about that, and it seems to be a passion of ours, this Acts chapter 2 kind of church. So at least I can say in our body, I think that's a real characteristic for us, that we have that love of wanting to get back to that kind of commitment, that all-in kind of crazy love thing, and I'm excited about it, and I really believe that's a place where God is bringing us to go. And so we see that kind of purpose in the first church, and every church, as we're doing today, who wants to develop some sort of purpose statement. If you're a New Testament Christian church, what churches do and what we've done is you look at what's called the Great Commission. You know, Jesus, before he ascended back up into heaven, a couple of verses there in Matthew chapter 28. It's kind of like he wrote a work order out for the disciples and for us and went, here, this is what I want you to do. I will be with you in spirit, but go carry this out. So we have our work order, and we can see it right here, Matthew 28. I'll read it for us. Therefore, this is what Jesus said, therefore go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. These are our working orders. These are our papers. This is what we know we're supposed to do. But every church gets to decide how they're going to do it based on the body type that you are, based on how God has gifted us, based on all of that. We get to take this and go, how do we want to do this? The little Vision church that kind of started by the seat of our pants here in Continental Ranch, and how does God want us to do this? And we get to figure it out, and it's really, really exciting, and that's exactly what we've done, is dug in to figure this out. Now, we didn't take this thing that I'm going to show you from any other church or any other website. Believe me, I would have loved to have found a perfect one on a website. It would have saved us a lot of time. I've written out so many things and brought them to people and went, is this it? And they've gone, No, that's not it. Okay, you know, it's been a real process. But I'm really happy, not just with myself, with advisors and different people who sat down, that what we're going to look at, I think it fits our values, it fits our body type, and fulfills the order that God has given us. So here is a 5-part, this is our purpose statement. This is a Vision Church purpose statement. And there's 5 parts to it, and you'll be able to take this with you. You can fill in the blanks on your notes if you want, and we'll explain this in a minute. But what's cool about this, and what the creative part of this is, which I wish I would have thought of, is these really describe well what we're doing, plus it helps us remember with the acrostic down on the left side. I wish I could say I thought of that. I mean, I tried so hard. If you could see some, never mind. But anyway, we had to put this all together, and we finally had this meeting, and we wrote out on the board, and a bunch of people came in and helped us with this, and then within an hour, I get this email like, oh, well, that's it. Why didn't I think of that? But anyway, I'm happy for you. Thank you for thinking of that for us. But anyway, it really fits us very well. And I love it. I love it because it's easy to remember. So that's it. But before we dig into it, there's 3 things we're going to take away from this. 3 things that we can look at from this purpose statement. Number 1, we're going to see what our purpose is as a church. Obviously, we've been talking about that. But number 2, you get to see personally in your life, you get to see where you fit. Where are you in this? This is our purpose. If this is Vision Church, you'll see very clearly as we go through this, like, oh, I think I'm right there. And then the third thing I'm really interested in is you'll be able to look at the gifts that you have, the way that you serve, the way that you dedicate your gift back to this body and go, well, that's where I am. I'm helping with this part, or I'm helping with that part, or I'm helping, you know, you'll be able to see that. So it's going to work really well for us. It's a great measurement for us. So let's go ahead and get into it. Before we do, though, I want to completely confuse us, and I'm going to take our acrostic, our Acts 2, and I'm going to turn it upside down. And here's the reason that we're going to do this. I'm reading in some of the books that I've read, plus it just seemed very natural to us. Most churches, they get it backwards. Most churches, according to Rick Warren, that's not me saying that. Most churches kind of get it backwards because they feel like what they're supposed to do is they start with this core group. Even with our church here, we started with 6 families that all got together and went, what if? So we come together and you start talking, you have all these exciting meetings, and you have potlucks together, and you go out to dinner, and you talk, you become friends, and you hang out with each other, and you just really enjoy it, and you grow deeper and deeper, and you think, well, one of these days we ought to reach out to the community, but we're really having so much fun just knowing each other. And often churches, they kind of never get around to, even though they think they're going to, reaching out into the community. They kind of get stuck in this little core where they are, and they feel so comfortable that when it comes time to, if they get a visitor at church, they go, hey, we got a visitor. You know, it's like, whoa, what happened? Somebody from the outside came in. Because you kind of get focused. So that we want to do the opposite, and we already are. It's very natural that we start out in the community. We want everything that we do in this process to see it through the eyes of somebody who's never been here. Somebody who lives out in Continental Ranch or Gladden Farms or Dove Mountain or Pitcher Rocks, wherever you are, Northwest Tucson, who doesn't even know who we are. We're going to start with that person, and this whole experience, this whole purpose, this whole process is going to be through their eyes, because that shows us what our purpose is. And so that's why we turn things upside down. The tree that you see here is, of course, we love our tree with our little birds flying. But the whole idea is that we're going to start in the root system, right? This is a healthy tree. All the nutrients come up. It's like that Psalms chapter 1 describes a strong life. You should be like a tree firmly planted by streams of water. Water comes up through the roots, up through the limbs, bears fruit. It's healthy. Its leaf never withers. It bears fruit in its season. Whatever it does, it prospers. That's a great picture for a church, too. But everybody knows, I mean, I'm a farm boy. You don't have to be a farm boy to know this. If you cut a tree off at the roots, the tree dies. There's really no purpose for it, except maybe firewood. A living church that's out there, our root system goes out into the community because we're reaching out to people first to bring in so that we can grow and bear fruit. See, so that's where we're going to start. That's why we turn this thing upside down. That was a long explanation. Let's go ahead and begin to talk about what all these things mean. First of all, the A in the Acts 2 is that we attract people. We attract through events, and you know this. You see this every time. Nicole was just up here talking about some of the highlights for Vision Church and what's coming up. We've got Market on the Move coming up, which we're going to go out there in the parking lot and meet hundreds, perhaps over 1,000 community people. We'll smile, we'll put on our t-shirts, and we'll hand them vegetables, and we'll give them a little flyer and invite them to church, and that's what we do, attract through events. The Frank Lopez concert, fun. We love the blues. Who doesn't love a pork sandwich? I do. But we invite our friends. People love the blues. They'll come in. There'll be people here for that concert that don't come to church here. It's an event. And so you can see the list there of the things that we do, from holidays and Halloween, Boo Bash, backpack event, Christmas Rockin' Eve. All that stuff we do is to bring people in, to attract them to Vision, and therefore hopefully attract them to God. So what I like to do is try and frame what somebody thinks when they come in for an experience like that. And if we know that people actually think this way, then we know it's a success, right? So somebody comes to an event, young family there, and this is their thought. This church loves and cares about our community. They're generous. They spend their energy and resources for me and my family. They have an appreciation, and we hear that at our events sometimes, like the Boo Bash. People will come up and go, thank you for doing this. This is so nice. A nice Halloween alternative. We really love it that you guys do this. And hey, that's a score. See, that we love that because we love our community and we want to do that. Attracts them here, and that's the whole deal. That's the attract. Let's look at the connection part. The connection part is what we're doing right here, right now. It's our weekend experience. And so it's very important for us. We set our environment the way we hope it should be. We put the teams together from hospitality to you get the cookie when you come in, right? I mean, there's a purpose for that. I love cookies. By the way, if you come to all 4 services, you get 4 cookies per weekend. I don't know if you knew that or not. But you do. Anyway, at least I do anyway. But it's all very, very intentional that we create an experience here. The production is done well, so there aren't any we don't want any big distractions or big glitches, so we try to work real hard on that to create an experience so that even if you don't have a relationship with God necessarily, you can still tell something's going on here. And hopefully it's warm and inviting and friendly and intriguing. You can feel the Spirit in the room, even though you may not have a spiritual relationship with God. You can see the music that we did. You know, you probably got a few goosebumps here and there with and witnessed and experienced yourself. People thinking about God and singing to Him, and it's a stirring. So everybody gets that. That's the experience, the connection that we hope to create. This is what people might think. This experience has substance. There's something special here. I can see that there's love and meaning and hope, warmth. There's sincerity. These people seem real and genuine. These people love God and each other and genuinely care about me and my family. They even gave me a cookie. I mean, you know, it's a simple thing, but if we do our experience correctly, that's what people will think when they come here, and that's our goal. Let's move on to the next thing. This is transform. So you've moved from the attract, you've come to church, but now you're thinking relationships, right? And relationships are where really good spiritual things happen. That's why we always encourage people to go to V groups or maybe to come to social events. It could be one of our men's ministry, Kaleo, or go out and play sports, throw a football around with us, play kickball with the kids. Before you know it, you know, you're sitting on a blanket eating a piece of chicken and you've met somebody that you didn't know before, and you build relationships, and the Spirit works through our relationships. God works. One of the foundational things of the Christian life is relationships with other Christians. So that's the transform, and that often is when people really begin to get serious, perhaps becoming a Christian, reaching that definitive point and getting baptized. But here's what somebody might think if they come to one of these kind of transforming experiences. I want to get involved. I'm ready to do that. I want to contribute instead of just receive. I want to kind of give back and pitch in a little bit. I want to learn more about God. I enjoy the support and encouragement that I get here. I want to know more people at Vision and maybe even hang out with them, go out to dinner outside of church or do something social. And I want to become a Christian. Somewhere in here we see people reach that. So we have the attraction, we have the connection, we have the transforming, and we move into then that strengthening thing. And you've been hearing us talk for the last months. We've been talking about equipping, equipping, equipping. That's one of the things I think God is going, you need to get equipped because I want to send you many more people. You need to know your Bible. You've got to have a strong spiritual relationship with me, and good prayer life, strong relationships. You need to get equipped, and that's what strengthening is all about. So that's why we provide things like our V groups, our EPIC classes, which we're going to do here in another hour, and that's going to start at 1 o'clock. All these Bible studies, discipleships, any way that we can dig in and strengthen ourselves so that we are equipped to move into the next phase, which is to reach out in our workplaces and in our environment. We're so full of the Spirit by that part. We're so confident in how we're equipped that we have no problem going to our workplaces. We have love, developed love for other people. We want to be in the work of reconciliation, and we find ourselves in conversations all the time. It becomes, kind of like the song we sang today, it becomes our reason for getting up in the morning and going out the door, because we realize that's our purpose. You might be, butcher, baker, candlestick maker, whatever you do for a living, that's cool. But what you really realize is that your purpose in life is to help other people become reconciled to God. You're in the ministry of reconciliation. You're at the top of the tree. You're beginning to really bear fruit for God because you've come all the way through the process. And so that's Vision Church. That's our whole purpose. I think it fits wonderfully on the Great Commission, and I also think it fits wonderfully on our strengths, who our body is, because we're already doing a lot of these things. We're just going to do more of it and become more equipped to do it. So I want to bust us through this just a couple more times very quickly because I want you to take the perspective of you personally, where you are in this process. When we run through these, you're going to see very clearly, like, yeah, I'm kind of between connect and transform right now, or I'm doing transform, but I haven't really stepped up to. So let's take a look at it, and I want you to see yourself. Perhaps, if you're here today, you've already moved through the attract part. Yay, you decided to come into the connection, which is cool. You're here for this experience, and this isn't to shake a finger at anybody. We're so happy that you're here. And thank you for being here. And I hope this experience is wonderful for you. But you can see that's where you are. Or maybe you've moved up to, you begin to build some relationships outside of here. You go out to dinner, you socialize, or you join a group, or you come to Unveiled or Kaleo, and you go out and play sports with us. You're beginning to know some names and build some relationships. So you're transforming. God's using that to transform your life. Or perhaps you already know that you're digging in, man. You're getting to learn your Bible. You're coming to the EPIC class. You're in a V group. You're doing a Bible study with your friends at work. You're digging in, man, because you want to get equipped. Or perhaps you've come all the way through this maturing process to where you go out your door every day. Nobody lives perfectly, but you go out your door every day with the main purpose of helping other people to see who Jesus really is. That's your life purpose, and you realize that. And man, what a way to live! I mean, this is what we do. This is the gig, man. And we get to do this. It's so fulfilling for the rest of our life, and then we die and go to heaven. See, that's a good deal. I like that deal. I hope you like that deal too. This is what I will do, and I hope we will do the rest of our life, either with this body or another body. So that's your personal growth. And now one more time to bust through to go, this is how I use my gifts. This is how you can check yourself, first of all, to see if you are using your gifts here, or it's kind of fun to go, well, where do I fit in on this? This is how I serve. If you're a track, then you're helping us with Market on the Move. You're bringing your car and doing a trunk or treat at the Boo Bash, or you're watching one of the jumping castles for the kids, or you're coming out to the booth at the Easter in the park. You're helping us greet the community, and that's what you're doing. Okay, if you're a Connect person, you might be part of our hospitality team, our production team, our music team, helping with the kids across the hall. You know where you are. You're going, yep, that's what I do. I help with the weekend experience. If it's the Transform, maybe you open up your house for a V group. You have a V group come and meet there. Or you're just diligent about being here and going, I don't know that person. I'm going to go up and shake their hand. Or I'm going to be intentional about building relationships. Or you help us put on things like Kaleo or Unveiled There are all these things where people can come together and build relationships. The strengthening thing is perhaps you're a writer, perhaps you're one of our teachers from across the way at V Group. Maybe you're a child care person. You help watch the kids so other people can come in here and get equipped during V groups or during EPIC classes. That's what you do, but you're helping to strengthen other people. You're using your gifts. And then, of course, the last one, to reach our neighbor. That happens outside of the church. That happens out there in your neighborhoods and your workplaces. And you're using your gifts just in talking and reaching out to people outside of here. So it kind of gives us a chance to go through there and go, that's where I fit. Some of you are working in several different areas of this, and man, we appreciate you rolling up your sleeves and helping. So I'm so happy that we have this. You're going to see it everywhere. This tree is going to be a part of, you'll see it on, now that we have it, we need to all get this, all understand this, so we're shooting at the same target. At one of our EPIC classes, we're going to do nothing except we're having a couple of tattoo artists come in. We're all getting trees right here. And if you're extra sensitive, I've heard that hurts. You can get one right here if you want to. I don't care where you put it, but you can get your tree put on so that somebody else can see it or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, this is going to be part of this is our DNA, at least for right now, where God has led us. And I love it. This really clarifies some things, helps us see where we're going, what our purpose is, and how we personally fit in, how God can use us in this body. So I hope that helps, and it's not the last time you'll hear about it for sure. I want to hit for just about 5 minutes on what's happening next for Vision, because there's some really exciting things coming up. We've been talking about how this is going to be an exciting year, a challenging year, and all the foundation that we've laid is that God has really cool stuff ahead of us. He's already done really cool stuff here, which we appreciate very much. He's telling us, no more seat of your pants, get your foundation, get your framework, dig in, get the equipping going, because I want to send more people to you, and I want you to be ready for that. I want us to be ready for that. So that's where we're heading. And here's what I believe God is leading us to go. First of all, in our future will be us moving to a bigger facility. We are pretty much almost at capacity here at this facility, and if we get 500 people in one weekend, which that's not the norm right now, but we're getting close to that, 500 people is about what this facility can handle per weekend at 4 services. Now that's perfectly balanced. That means that we have 80 adults in here, and we have 10 kids in each of the classrooms, and that only leaves about five of you riffraff people that hang out in the coffee house, mostly the band. Let's see if they're out there. Yeah, there they are, drinking coffee out there and stuff. But that 125 people per service, and that's if we're perfectly balanced. Now, this particular service, we're a little off balance. It's wonderful. See, here's what pastors like. Pastors go, they come home to their wife, they go, it was awesome, wasn't it? Did you see that? Twin Peaks had a traffic jam, and there wasn't any place to park, and people had to park out back, standing room only. Whoo! And that's what we like. But if you're here for the first time, you go, it was awful. There was a traffic jam on Twin Peaks. I couldn't park in the front. I had to park in the back, and then I couldn't find a chair. I'm never going back there again. See, so that's the other side of it. And statistics tell us that once we hit 80% capacity, which we're above that right now in this particular service, that you'll stop growing, because newer people come in and go, I'm so uncomfortable, there's no place for me, just kind of hang back, it's so crowded, I can't park, my kids are crowded in there. We'll stop growing if we don't. So I'm excited about it, that we get to do that. It's not uncommon. I imagine we probably broke over 400 people this weekend. Thank you very much for being here. But it's not uncommon for us to do that. And we even had, when you guys all decide to come to church on the same weekend and nobody's sick and out of town and the Wildcats aren't playing, we really can. We've had 450 people here just on a normal weekend. So wonderful. However, we're outgrowing the place. And so our lease is up in about 15 months. And already, that sounds like a long time away. It's not. We have to build out. We have to figure out where we're going. And we have people out bird dogging, looking for square footage. We're looking for about 7,000 to 10,000 square foot somewhere in northwest Tucson, so that we can reach out. But we're pretty much full at 500, and we're getting real close to that. And good problem to have. but at least we know in the future that we will be moving from here. Now, another thing that God has revealed to us very much is that our reach, our connection is with young families. And I know I'm not a young family guy. I make a good grandpa, though. I make a good grandpa. So as far as relating to the pastor, I think I can handle that as a good grandpa. But the truth is we do attract a lot of young families, and the reason is, very intentionally, some churches, I agree with them, they say if you go for the man, if you can get the man to come to church, the husband, the father, he will bring the family, and that works really well. That's where you hang motorcycles from the ceiling, and everything's done in metal and, you know, very masculine, which we're not feminine here. But anyway, not us. We're not necessarily going for the man. What we're going for is the preschooler. That's our target. We want the preschooler. What we realize is that whatever the preschooler does, the family does. If she's a ballerina, they go to ballerina class. If she's a soccer player, they go to soccer. If they're on the swim team, they go to the pool. And we realize that, therefore, we like to provide a great environment for kids. Almost all of our events are kid-driven. Kids Rock, Boo Bash, Easter in the Park, all the stuff that we do, kid-driven, trying to bring the kids in, because we love kids. And plus, intellectually, I relate to kids really well. They're this high. I don't know what it is, but that's my demographic. And but we also realize across the hallway at times, even right now, I'd be interested to see what the count is. We've had up to 17 kids in one classroom across there. Yeah, and it's hot and sweaty. And so we want a great environment for kids, so they'll keep on coming and bringing families and grandmas and grandpas and everybody with them. And so that's our target. So we know that we're going to need to build. We're looking all over Northwest Tucson for square footage, and we're going to find it. A couple of possibilities on the table. As soon as I can tell you some details, I will. And that'll get us to our next phase. Along with that, a number keeps coming up for us. And it's appeared so many times that I believe this is a good number for us to look at, that we are going to have to put our big boy pants on. We'll get diaper trained here as a church, and we need to raise about $250,000 probably this year that we need to do that. And it's ahead of us. I'm excited about it. It's a big number for a church our size with young families and stuff like that. Don't worry, we're not passing out envelopes this morning. But I just want you to know that's coming, because we are going to do it. And I believe God has given us this to do. And if we're called to be this early Acts chapter 2, all in, committed, love God with all our heart and ourselves, and reaching out to our community, we'll come up with it. We'll get what we need to move this, because if we don't, we'll stop growing. I believe God's called us to reach thousands. He's already blessed us to reach hundreds, and I'm so thankful for that. I know you are too. I believe He's called us to reach thousands, but He's saying, you guys need to get ready. You need the foundation, you need the structure, you need the purpose, and that's where we are moving. And so, just to kind of finish up, I want to take us back to that early Acts church, because I think this really fits us as well. And this is just a couple of verses about Peter and John when they had gotten arrested, and the Pharisees were hassling them. And the Pharisees and the religious leaders of the day back then were the enemies of the first Christians, because they were jealous and tried to stop Christianity. So this is the perspective that the religious leaders had toward Peter and John, if you look in Acts chapter 4. It says, when they saw the courage of Peter and John and realized that they were unschooled, ordinary men, they were astonished, and they took note that these men had been with Jesus. I love the sentiment, I love the message, just those couple of verses, because these were ordinary guys. And certainly back then they were able to receive kind of supernatural spiritual help. But the truth is, we have the same promise in that as we put our lives into Christ. Ordinary people, and that's one of the reasons why I like this scripture, because that's who I feel like we are. That's one of the things I hear from people when they come to Vision. It's like, you guys just seem real genuine and real sincere, real ordinary. I'll take that. I like that. I just like being who we are, because it doesn't limit us. When we get connected with Christ and His Spirit, He'll do extraordinary things, not because we're all that, but because He is all that, and He'll work through us. And I really believe that's where He's calling us to go. The question is, will we step up and be ready and do the things that we need to do? Will we fulfill this purpose that's been laid out for us. And so my hope and prayer is that we will. There's no doubt about it. Each and every one of us were called. The question is, will we respond to that call? We have been called, and we are here. You are here in this body for a reason. I'm really happy that you are. So let's go ahead and pray. Thanks, God, so much for what we talked about today, but I just thank you for the last 4 weeks. You just keep unfolding stuff to show us. And I'm excited because there's so much promise, just so much solid horse sense promise in the things that you've shown us, that it's as simple as that you want us to step forward and become equipped and get ready. Just all of the principles you've shown us in the Bible. There's no mystery to it. It's just you've shown us. You want us to discover what our gifts are and develop those gifts and bring those here so that we can work them together and be tight with you in our relationship and your Spirit working through us, so that you can reach out and just do powerful things through us to help other people become reconciled. And I thank you for that. And I pray that in our work together for how many years we get to be on this earth, our work together will result in reaching thousands of people and helping them to be reconciled for all eternity. What an honor it is to even think that you would allow us to be a part of that. But we thank you for that. I love these guys, and I just thank you that we get to work together in this. And thank you so much for that blessing. I pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you guys for listening. So glad you're here. Have a good rest of the day.